Namaste, family. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Come on into a hot oven. Happy 4th of July. Um, you guys can see behind me, my neighbors are preparing their grills, so they're probably going to have a big shebang going on later tonight. Ooh, yeah. So hot, you guys. Come on into this dimension. Come on into this July update. Come on into this sacred mermaid container, and remember to subscribe to the channel, hit that notifications bell, comment and share this video. And please, guys, put a like on this video if you like the content on my channel. The likes help so much. And yeah, it's a beautiful day already. For the 4th, me and the girls, we're going to be heading down to Pensacola Beach to watch the fireworks tonight. They usually, I hear, put on an amazing show. They're over the ocean, so we're really excited to be a part of the madhouse down there. Not the madhouse, but yeah, it'll be nice to get over there. And the sharks have been coming close to the coast recently. There have been a lot of shark sightings. My girls were actually at the beach yesterday and a huge shark was in the water. Everybody was yelling to get out. And my girls came home and told me, they were like, Mom, we seen a shark in the water. And I was like, what? And it didn't really register to me that they actually seen maybe like a really big shark, or they were really serious because they didn't really make a big deal about it. But then I was checking the Pensacola groups on Facebook, and a lot of people had posted pictures of it and video of it. So I was like, that was a huge shark. So if you're close to the ocean right now, just be careful, because I think the sharks are being more attracted to the coast, just because it's warmer out right now. And so I think they're coming closer to the shore, probably looking for food and things like that. There's more people out in the water. So yeah, guys, if you are heading to the beach at this time, just be very vigilant of the waters, because there are a lot of sharks, a lot of different kinds of sharks in our oceans here down in Florida. And so you always have to really pay attention and be careful. If you see a shark, you need to get out of the water right away. And don't splash a lot, because they're attracted to splashing. So just carefully and quietly try to get out as quickly as you can. That's the advice I gave to my girls. And also letting them know, don't go too far out. Don't go too deep in those waters where you can't touch. Because, as you get further out, you can't really see what's beneath you, unless you're a more skilled beach goer, and maybe you're a surfer or something like that, and you're maybe more used to these types of sightings and things. But there's definitely a lot of sharks coming in right now, so just be careful, guys. And I hope everyone is feeling good today and is activating those spiritual freedom codes, those flames of virtue, those sparks of excitement that we all feel from the Sirius sun right now going into the Lion's Gate, that we hopefully brought back to life when we went to DC and we cleared the Draco and the Aquilan strongholds, the locks, the seals out of those technocratic grids. So today I'm going to be doing a recap of some of my findings in the Capitol building in Washington, DC, and just share some pictures with you guys that I couldn't get more in depth into upon returning just yet. I have still been settling back into being home, and it's really taken me a little bit longer to integrate the energies we experienced there than I thought it would. Yeah, I went through such a massive field expansion while I was there. I was holding so much light in my field, so much more than I'm used to holding. And so I was really blown up, kind of like a plasmic balloon, floating outside of my body some of the days that I was there. And so, yeah, it's always kind of like you go through a massive dissension when you get back because you're not as expanded. And so then that light kind of starts to integrate, it starts to restructure all of your DNA, and it kind of can take you down a little bit of just feeling the pain body a lot more when you're integrating all that light until it kind of fully integrates. So simultaneously while I was there and I was so expanded in light, I was also taking several hits from the old dark ones. I was multi-dimensional, multitasking on about 36 different trans-dimensional levels. And so I was definitely met simultaneously to the joy and the bliss with some aggressive Orion and Draco war energies. And so actually when I got home, everything in my house essentially started breaking. You guys may have seen at the end of the grid worker video, rescue mission video that we put out, that when Dylan at the end was giving his thanks and, you know, having kind of like a little meditative prayer and feedback, essentially one of the glasses on the wall behind us just broke off the wall, literally shattered into pieces behind us. Nobody touched it. It was just the power and the presence of our words. Kind of picked up that maybe it was a negative energy that did that, but also at the same time, it felt like it was confirmation that, you know, what we did there did make a difference on a spiritual level. The spiritual realm was kind of responding and giving us that confirmation. So actually, when I got home, everything started breaking. The main obsidian pillar that I used for protection that sits on my desk in my office essentially shattered all over the floor out of nowhere. It just fell off and broke. I was so sad. It literally shattered to pieces. All three of my MacBooks crashed simultaneously. And yes, I have three MacBooks, but I work dynamically out of each one differently. And so I had to take two of them actually in for repairs. And then the main one that I work out of for editing had a major storage crash that deleted some of my major Draco and Baphomet files. Hence why I had a little bit of trouble editing the grid work video and getting it out sooner. So it just was a lot. Even upon returning home, my daughter's tires blew up on her car. All four of them had to be changed and replaced. And so it's just kind of been one continuous thing after another. But that's to be expected when we go in there and do that powerful work on those reversal systems. You know, you are going to get some pushback. And so you kind of just have to really fight through it. You know, you have to know that when you decide to extract evil, when you decide to call out the names of what is negative and nefarious and release that through 12 gate ascension portals into the light, essentially, you know, those spirits, those lesser spirits don't really like it. And so you have to be prepared for taking that on and working to transmute that. You have to definitely up your protection. You have to up your meditation. I've been meditating probably about 3 times a day since getting back home to really help me work through dealing with some of the deep collapsing that's going on inside of my body, old programs, and also some central nervous system flare-ups that I had essentially going in and out of those really dense, corrupted, and distorted fields. Also coming in and out of, I feel, what is like a La Cucaracha trap. So you do become more exposed to viruses and, you know, the bacterias and things like this, the parasites. And it does tend to take a little bit effect on your spiritual immune system. So getting back home for me has been really healing. Coming back to my saline pool to cleanse me. I have been essentially dancing in the pool for about 2 hours every single night under the moon and under Venus, just really working through those energies, working on releasing the level 10 density locks that were in my body, and where the Orion War chose to kind of insidiously come in me to try to run a reversal hook, essentially. So I realized through this ritual trance water dance that the water consciousness is coming more alive at this time globally for everyone in the world, not just because it's with my pool, but also going to the ocean. That the water has been speaking more to me. It has been showing me its memory and its fractal universes within each drop, and how the water actually enjoys us too. How the water enjoys our frequency and also remembers us. So when we feel called to go to the water, when we feel called to go to the ocean, hopefully some of you are heading down to the beach this 4th of July. It's because she too is calling for us. She calls for us. The spirits of the ocean call for us. The spirits of the water call for us. And it works deeply within our emotional body. And so it's been a magical time working out the polarity at the same time and just returning myself back to wholeness. So again, I just wanted to give a special thank you and shout out to the Guardian Rescue A team. I loved you guys so much. I can't even believe how much love that I felt for everybody. It was really a coming home of a soul group. That was a really special thing that I didn't expect to happen, was just how much we all really resonated with each other and were willing and able to show each other so much love and support for what we were doing. So much laughter, so much bliss, so much magic. So yeah, it was amazing. I really hope to continue to do these in the future and call in more soul family like that. It really made me realize how much that community is needed, how much coming together for our beliefs and for, you know, what truly we live for, how nourishing that is to our soul. But yeah, I wanted to show you guys actually. So I was at the beach the other night. I went up there at about midnight. Well, I was up there at about 10 p.m. and I stayed till about midnight. And I took this beautiful picture here of the moon and the water. And it's just so gorgeous, isn't it, you guys? How beautiful is that picture? That's exactly the spot where my girls actually seen the shark, was right next to the pier. But yeah, I took this at about midnight, and the moon is just so beautiful. The moon was in Libra at this time when I took this, next to the constellation of Scorpio, which are two very dominant astrological signs in my birth chart. So I just felt like, you know, this moment was for me. But I did notice that as it gets hotter and hotter into the summer months, we actually start wanting to kind of avoid the sun more, right? And we start to seek that dance with the moon. We start to become more one with the lunar energy. And it really becomes more illumined, the moon's energy in the summer months. So it was just kind of a special thing I wanted to share with you guys. I'm going to include all of the pictures that I show today in my write-up, my email that I send out to you guys. So be sure to sign up on my website at IndigoAngel222.com so you can get all of the writing that I put out. I try to do that as I feel like it's a more intentional way to kind of solidify and wrap up all of the things that I research and study and all of the trips that I take, all of the grid worker missions that I do. I try to put it all out for you guys to read, just in case you can't get through the energy updates that I put out, because some of them can be very long. Or if you're more of a reader, I myself am more of a reader than I am someone who watches. Everyone always asks me, oh, do you watch this person's channel? Do you watch that person's channel? This, and that. And I'm like, not really. Not really, guys. It's hard for me to pay attention to, you know, TV and even YouTube sometimes. I have a short attention span for it. That all happened through my ascension, through my awakening. I kind of lost the ability to just watch TV or movies even. It's kind of coming back to me more now. I can watch more movies and more shows, but reading is usually for me the best way. So that's why I do that, is for maybe someone's like me, they like to read. But okay, so I'm going to do some DC recap. Um, it's just some stuff I haven't been able to get out since the trip, was to verbalize a lot more of my observations that I had in DC. And one of the main things, oh my gosh, you guys, the barbecue smells so good right now. I'm so hungry. um, so one thing that I noticed is that the city it truly did feel like a ghost town. Some city sectors, such as the Pride community, were very alive. Like the Pride community there was the community. That was where people essentially felt community. Everywhere else was dead. And so there were, fewer people in the city than I thought that there would be, fewer people walking on the streets. It did give a ghost town sense that you could feel in people's spirits and in their souls. Things felt very watered down, very dulling in the air, in the environment, in the atmosphere, in the mind, in the heart. It was like you could really genuinely feel the like fluoridated stare, so to speak, and that cap on people's perceptions and consciousness and their living life force. And I could feel it affecting me as well, because I immediately upon arriving, I felt a numbing of my psychic senses, as if the frequency bands of the city were running heightened brain scrambling, heightened heart scrambling, spirit hijacking technology, hive hibernetics, oppression frequency waves, some sort of negative scalar wave that blocks your pineal as well was very strong. I had a challenging time remoting in to actually see holographic architecture on location. There were several distractions that kept manifesting whenever I would try to tune in. It would be like something would come up, something would redirect me. And it just caused a lot of continuous small blockages. And I also noticed that the buildings were blocked and kind of locked the same way with psychic preventative remote viewing technology, many layers of frequency fences, and several vaults that seem to be working in cohesiveness with those frequency fences. So it just overall really felt like the need for humans there was becoming less and less. In the hotel I was staying in, everything was contactless, key coded, self-serve hotels, which I have genuinely never experienced before. Anytime I've ever stayed at a hotel, there was always, a front desk and a concierge and, the people there to help you with things. And not in DC, the main hotels, they were contactless, they were key coded. So you access your room and the luggage storage rooms by a code. And then if you had any issues, you would have to call an AI robot chat, essentially, if anything was wrong with your room. So that was an interesting dynamic that helped me to see how it's just becoming, more and more and less about the needs for humans. Also, the city was mostly cashless. Okay, so when you would try to go in to pay for things, they would tell you they don't accept cash. It was only card. And this was the majority of the city. So it's like they were already fully implemented for that digital currency shift. The star system, Orion and Gemini, was very dominant there. It was the name of cafes. It was the name of ice cream shops. Gemini ice cream shop, Gemini cafe. You could also see that it controlled the electricity and power and gas distributions there as well. And all of their specialized machines running the buildings were actually labeled with Orion symbols, Orion markings, or Orion words. So yeah, the Orion symbolism was genuinely in plain sight there. And so one of the other things that I noticed was that the city had a strong post-apocalyptic AI pandemic frequency as well, where you could see that the La Cucaracha virus prepped the city for stronger technocratic holds on the consciousness, the land, the environment, and atmosphere and architecture, and that really didn't let up. So it was like it had permeated into the infrastructure as a permanence, so to speak. And so you can just really see that that's drifting the population towards technocratic totalitarianism. The city was very advanced compared to where I live and where I come from. And it was a very vast difference for me to really recognize it. Also taking in consideration that most of the city's population is predominantly stuffed up with the Beetlejuice, okay, the Betelgeuse, the Beetlejuice. And so that needlecraft technology, they were very easily running billions of nanotech bots and sensors running throughout the bioneurology of human beings, communicating with each other and creating like a wireless hive network that directly connects the brains with the internet into AI and controls the behavior of the DNA, controlling the thought patterns and the mind wave fields according to pre-programmed altered states of the DNA. And so DC is likely ground zero for developing this rapid craft technology. It's ground zero for connecting their hives. It is the central hub of the main United States hive for boards and for groupthink control agendas. DC is definitely ground zero for the technocratic revolution. And so it was just really strange to see that, like, as a normal. I feel like this has to do with the 2030 agenda. And you guys, my glass of water had a full thing of ice cubes in here before I came out. And I've only been out here maybe like 15 minutes. So yeah, it's super hot. It's definitely an oven. Whew, I'm feeling it. But I wanted to come outside to record just because it is so pretty out here and I love my pool. I love the water. And so, but essentially, I think all of this has to do with the 2030 agenda, where they are creating the one world order through the global implementation of these vast AI networks. You know, this is nothing new. You guys, reducing the need for humans in all cities. Okay, creating smart cities, creating the AI communities to develop faster. The 6G cities, which is the next wave. You know, how you guys know China is already a 6G city. Creating technocratic cities, making the fourth industrial wave to eventually combine organic human biology with AI machines. And the beast machine mechanics, digital brain implants. Okay, this is a real thing. And if you really sit and think about it, you can hear in the collective the desire to merge with faster data. You can feel the collective wanting to merge with faster abilities to direct holograms, faster abilities to become deviceless. So if they can create those brain implants that connects us directly into the strings of the information of the internet, essentially we can reduce the need for machine learning and we become one with software analytics. So this is kind of at the core of black box quantum computing and also grid computing, altering states of reality in the grids. I did a video on this a while ago. I'll leave a link in the description where I really went into how advanced grid template computing is actually moving along, where they can just control reality by controlling the artificial matrices that are up underneath your feet. This is something that I've seen clearly in the Capitol building, so I am going to discuss that more. But they're also wanting to implement digital twins, which is replicas of clones. Okay, so this is going even further than we thought, where they can create, you know, individuals with these personality matrices and then project them into another dimensional plane And all of this is really working with the Phantom Matrix systems. So this is the real underworld battle that's merged with AI, spiritual warfare, merged with the development of AI. This is more than just, we're connected to the WISA systems or the fallen systems. This is a whole other realm of AI technocratic development. And so we may have mentioned in the live that we did with Felix and Noko that we did take a very extensive tour of the Capitol building. That was really kind of one of the major highlights for me, not just the day of the grid work, getting into the Capitol building and getting to get those access passes to the Senate floor. This was a really big deal. This was a very intense moment because we received so many special codes to access the building in most unique way. Because most Americans, so if you're an American and you go to the Capitol building to take a tour, you can't get into the Senate floor. You actually have to go through a process where you speak to your state representative to get access passes to the Capitol building to actually get into the Senate floor. But they will allow internationals to go in without that. So I just thought that was kind of a weird thing that they do with Americans. I guess it's probably to reduce the amount of people that get to go in and get these special tours. But I just felt like it was kind of like a diss to the American people when we're the ones that live here and we're the ones that pay all the taxes and we're the ones that essentially, have to abide by all the laws and rules. Yet our international friends can just get in like nothing, which I'm so thankful that we had international friends with us. Essentially, we were very fortunate that they allowed the Americans in the group to actually go in. But yeah, essentially we got to take a deeper look into the Senate floor, and we got to see extensively, for one, how deep those Aquilan seal systems run. I talked about there being over 500,000 plus Aquilan seal systems running, which I will get into more towards the end of this update, kind of talk a little bit about some of the other research that I've done with the Aquilan system, which is essentially Altair, the Eagle system, patriarchal domination and control, and militarization development, conquer and divide, all of these things. Aquila essentially is what the Draco systems implement and work through. Dracos essentially invaded many systems, one in which being the Lyran Wars, in which we know a lot about, but they found a good home with Aquila, okay? Merged very well with Aquila. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But another thing that we saw were several clones in the Capitol building. I saw 3 walk by me at the entrance to the Senate floor, and it was very clear that they were clones. They had unusually locked, kind of like dull eye movement. The soul body of the clone definitely looked artificial. It didn't look human. And it was hooked up to a much stronger mind calling, or what I guess I could identify as like a stronger MK Ultra program that's kind of controlling the brain waves. You could also see it with many of the officials working there. They seemed to have like these circular lumps on their foreheads that were a little bit raised. And it looked like a form of a Draco brain implant, essentially controlling their behavior, their thoughts. So, a lot of the people that work in DC are probably already brain chipped or marked with the 666 mark of the beast already, much more extensively than we're probably aware of. If you guys heard that scream just now, that's my neighbors in the back. They got that grill going right now, and oh my gosh, making me so hungry. I got to get some food at some point here. But I was watching a show the other day with Marie Colvin. She actually gave me a shout out on her show, so I'll give her a shout out right now. But she was going over the brain implants on Biden's forehead. So kind of identifying which clones are Biden. essentially by the brain implant on the forehead. So it must be some form of a hive beacon that they're using there. One of the other things that I found to be very interesting was the interior architecture of the floors in the room where the January 6th insurrection took place. So on the floors, there was actually like a honeycomb geometry, which represents the flower of life. So the true 5D Tiamat pre-implosion, pre-planetary warfare geomancy, sorry, I can't say the word, geomancy, is a honeycomb hive structure. Okay, just the pure form of this. And so what you've seen on the architecture and the floors were the black cubes that were superimposed in between those honeycomb structures. And so clearly that's a Metatronic implant. So if you see black cubes in between hives, if you see black cubes in between honeycomb geomancy, that's what a Metatronic implant looks like. So I'm going to just show you a picture of the Capitol floor. So this was what the floors look like in the room that was insurrected. And so, yeah, you can see the black cubes in between the organic hive. This is actually also what it looks like inside of your hologram. That's why I brought this up. That's why I was like, oh my gosh, took a picture of the floors, because this is what I see when I'm removing Metatronic implants. A lot of times I'll see black cubes in people's fields, and it will be superimposed into the flower of life structures of their body, also superimposed in between the strands of the DNA as well. So it was just, very confirming for me to go there and to see the things that I see in people and have it in the actual architecture. So what this does to you is when you walk into that building, you essentially are walking, because it's not just the architecture of the floor, it creates a living vibration. It creates a wormhole. It creates a funneling of negative energy into a harvesting or a loosh or a reincarnation matrix, wherever it's going. It goes into many places. But you're essentially walking through a holographic virtual fallen system. Okay, you just don't realize it because you say, oh, this is just geomancy, this is just a design, this is just the floor. But what it does is it amplifies that holographic virtual fallen system grid templating up underneath your feet, which is then amplified into your field and takes down your organic structure. And it replaces it and plugs it into the Metatronic. So I had to do a lot of Metatronic clearing after leaving here. Another picture I wanted to show you is this statue of Minerva. Okay, so when you walk also into that same room that was insurrected, you see this giant statue of Minerva, or what is the goddess equivalent to Athena, which I knew that Minerva was a major figure at the Capitol building. I knew there were portals basically to Rome in the center dome of the Capitol, but I didn't realize how much it was a living form where they had stoned or encapsulated that energy to use it there as a power source. But you can see here in this picture, this is a Minerva or Athena, and she's essentially holding the goddess Nike. Oh, wait, she's not holding Nike in this one. She's holding a scroll. She's also one with Aquila, which is very draconian. Okay, and then also the Serpent Brotherhoods next to her. Minerva is the Roman goddess of wisdom, justice, law, and victory. She sponsors arts, trade, and strategy, but she's also war as well. So Minerva is not a patron of violence like Mars, but she's more of a patron of strategic war. So this is, obviously very important to the military, to the Capitol. And so I took this picture because I was such in awe of it. I couldn't believe it. When I got home, I remembered that I actually have this statue. I have this. Okay. I have her. I have a different form of her. This is the form of her that's represented with the shield of Medusa, which she doesn't have there. And she's actually, this is actually the pure form of her. Okay. Holding the shield of Medusa, holding the goddess Nike. Okay. They've altered her in that one, you can see. But yeah, so this was one of the main spirits and energies that truly came to me in Rome. I mean, she's all over Rome as well. So I have been in some ways working with this energy for a while, trying to understand more of its power, trying to understand the evolution of its spirit and how it plays such a fundamental role in everything that's actually going on. So I think we overlook this goddess. We overlook and bypass her role in government and how much she's actually a part of implementing the control there. Now, I do think this is a form of hijacking of the true essence and true spirit of Athena and Minerva, again, by, the story of Medusa and labeling Athena as kind of a perpetrator of Medusa, again, distorting its value and all of these things that they do. But you could see there in that picture, I'll pull her back up. And this one, she's not represented by a helmet. I'd like to know actually what's on top of her crown up there, if it's like a crown or what that is. This is the statue that they use for freedom, okay, representing the United States of America. Again, we just initially identified this as a potential Draco seal within her statue here, maybe one of the major ones. So we did work to extract, the holographic templating of that. Still with the representation of the serpent, it does allude to that she is guarding the serpent brotherhoods, essentially the fraternities, the sororities, the secret societies, and the Freemasons, the Jesuits, orders, all of these things. We did our best to clear several forces of snakes all over the grids in DC as much as we possibly could, but they're definitely all over the grounds there. Another picture I wanted to show you guys was, and thanks for bearing with me today with this hotness that I'm working through over here. Then this was the apotheosis of Washington. So you can see here in this picture that I took with my head down in the corner. I was trying to get a good shot of me holding the camera, but it just, came out how it did. But this is the apotheosis of Washington in the eye of the U.S. Capitol building, the rotunda. And this depicts George Washington rising to the heavens in glory, which represents the apotheosis or deification to make George Washington like God, glorifying his presence. And they do this with all of the other presidential memorial sites. They're doing the same thing. They do it at the Lincoln Memorial. They do it everywhere. They grandiose our presidents as gods. Okay, so just like how these particular beings from Rome are grandiose and deified, they're doing the same thing with the presidents. So 100 or 200 years from now, they're going to be worshipped. They're already being worshipped. It's basically an altar under which ritualization is taking place. This is an altar. They'll even swear presidents in here if the weather is not permitting. If they can't do them inaugurations, if they can't do them outside, they'll do them underneath the apotheosis of Washington. So this really feels like a portal into the mind and the eye of God. After going here, I went to sleep that night. I received a vision in my dream that I was looking into a stranger's eye, like someone who was in DC. I was looking into their eye, like deep into their pupil, into their iris. And I started to see straight into the geometries of God. I started to see several fractals, like the Sri Yantra, and other complex and very dynamic moving geometries started to run through the iris. And so when I woke up, I just felt like it was connected to this portal. I feel it is working similarly in the same way that through this, it's leading into a stairway to heaven where you start shifting up into higher God geometries, Jacob's ladder, or is what they call it. But I was just very suspicious of this portal, as if it had been hijacked by Dracos, okay? As if, they're funneling the power in God's sources to work on their behalf for their agendas, clearly. And also, I do feel this is a portal into Rome. The guy that actually painted this, his name was Constantino Brumidini, or Brumidi. His name was Constantino Brumidi in 1865. And he was born and trained in Rome. He painted under the Vatican. So he came here and did the same thing. Now, about this picture a little bit, it's flanked by female figures representing liberty and the victory flame, surrounded by 6 groups of figures, 6 different groups of the canopy, essentially. So I'm going to tell you what those 6 different figures are, because I think they're pretty relative to what this portal has a stronghold over. One of the main things is war. Okay, so they're using the God portals for war. In one of the groups, it's represented by armed freedom and the eagle. So there's a Aquilan seal here in this portal that's running patriarchal domination codes. It's also to stronghold over science, which they're using through the energy of Minerva and opening that portal to the Vatican, again, sealing it off here. It's also strongholding over maritime law and the marine forces, where they're using heavy Neptune symbolism, holding his trident, and Venus holding the transatlantic cable. This, again, I think is one of the ways that they, stronghold war by sea, victory by sea, all of these things. It's also strongholding commerce. They're using the power of Mercury here, handing a bag of money to Baphomet. Okay. It's not visibly handing it to Baphomet. I call it Baphomet, but it's being handed over to a financier of the American Revolution, which is a Templar revolt, which ultimately goes back to Baphomet, which ultimately gogoes back to the King of Solomon seals and the Draco seals. It's also a stronghold over mechanics. So they're using the Vulcan at the anvil and forge, producing a cannon and a steam engine. So this is just a seal and a patron of the beast machine mechanics. This one really resonated with me because I went to Birmingham, Alabama recently, where the main statue of Vulcan is actually held. So this has to do a lot with trains, automotives, cars, planes, transportation, all machines, all machinery. And then the other main thing that has a stronghold over here through the Capitol building is agriculture. Again, I think this is where we can release a lot of them negative GMO, negative farming seeds, all of this here. So, we did work to shift this here and try to cleanse and clear this portal. Now, speaking of Baphomet, you guys, I'm going to show you another picture. This is one of the most important things that I've been wanting to tell you guys. So you may have seen yesterday that I posted up my Draco seal removal video. I felt it was really important to put out. The information is really relative at this time, according to kind of what's being released inside the grids. Because the Baphomet seal is one of the more hardcore Draco seals. I just wanted you guys to have the history of the Draco seal system. If you didn't watch that video, go back and watch that post from yesterday. But I wanted you guys to be able to understand what I mean by all of this. Like, how is this? Where is this? So go back and watch that video and you'll have a more clear understanding of what, the Baphomet seals are according to those Draco seal systems. But in this picture, we took this outside of the Treasury building. So these are the iron rods that run across the entirety of the outside of the Treasury. But now if you look into the design of the rods, you can see the goat head in the iron rod. Okay, you can see the head of the goat. You can see his Baphomet antlers coming out. You can see down below. These are running in between. You can also see the squaring technology, the black cube technology. So Felix actually called this out when we were doing the collapse. This was just a really important thing to identify for me. It was a lot of confirmation because when I was working to put that Draco seal system together, when I was doing a lot of deep research, and I was seeing Draco seals running in people's bodies and that are in Draco seal system, I always saw a Baphomet seal over people's third eye that ran extensions or plugs that were going down to their Earth Star chakra. And so I always connected it to the Federal Reserve, seeing it as a wealth curse over humanity, where they reserve that power for themselves, blocking abundance codes under trickery and imposter spirits, essentially, lesser spirits, entities. Okay. The Baphomet seal, this was placed when the Templars established money lending from the treasures of Solomon, which were already cursed according to it being tied to lesser spirits. So Baphomet was the idol in which was worshipped to germinate the lands and make these mother truckers rich. And it comes with the symbol of the skull and bones, which was laid across the seal. This seal has been sustained through the continuation, again, of the Freemasons, secret societies, fraternities, sororities, all of the institutionalized indoctrination feeding systems that have continued to worship Baphomet, holding this seal in the planetary grid. So this is just a very profound confirmation to me now to actually physically see Baphomet on the Treasury building, encoded in the iron. And this is another thing they like to do. They use the metals to encode the spirits in which they want to worship and work with. It's something they also do in a technology called planetary branding. I've talked about that before in my other Cosmic Grid updates, how they go in and brand these iron rods into the ground through geometries to implant their seals and implant their agendas into the Earth's matrix fields, also to disrupt natural and organic ley line systems, also to disrupt the flow of organic currents that would naturally come in and heal the consciousness body of the land and the people. And they block it there with their iron rods. Pretty crazy, right? Do you guys see it there in the picture? Drop it down in the comments if you can see Baphomet here. Is this actual location of where they're located? Obviously think about that. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to discuss with you guys was the amount of Aquilan seals upholding the Draco seals in Washington, D.C. I actually want to do a more extensive video on this, going into much more depth about Aquila and Altair. It needs to be talked about. It just really needs to be addressed, to be put into perspective. I've been trying to put it in perspective for a long time. The more and more that I see how they're using the Aquilan and the Altair seal system, it's just bringing more clarity for me. Sorry, guys, I'm kind of sweaty out here. But the Georgia Guidestones is a perfect example of the central core of the Aquilan matrix. Go and watch my Georgia Guidestones video that I put out, or read the writing. I'll leave it down in the description. But yeah, DC and Georgia Guidestones hold the core energy of the Aquila control matrix. Aquila or Altair ultimately holds power for militarization development. That's why they like it so much, for the New World Death Orders and astral exploitation and the lower D tumultuous fields. Okay, this is like savagery. This is just pure blood, draconian thirst. So anywhere you're going to find Aquila, you're going to find the agendas of the Shadow Willy Wonka and the Shadow Military. I didn't really realize the full extent of it until I went to DC and I could see, how complex it is over the state of Columbia. I ultimately feel like it is a warfare between the eagle and the dove. And these go back to, I think, degraded and separated lines of the Anunnaki and then ultimately the Dracos. But this is all about establishing patriarchal dominance with brute, destructive, and lethal forces at any cost necessary. So this is the immortal Aquila. This is the immortal Birdman. This is the immortal Nephilim. You guys, they keep the Nephilim. The Nephilim are alive. They're living down inside the earth, going crazy over selenite. That's what they're doing. And this is the immortal Elohim, the immortal Anunnaki Father Principle, Christendom quest to be the biggest, to be the strongest, to be the most alphas, organized as a collective body in unification. Okay, and they want to implement these seals. There's a reason for this. The reason is that they need this unification of these seals because immediately following any post-apocalyptic world, the worlds of the post-deluge, the worlds of devastating nuclear warfare, come the earth, cataclysm, trigger events, post 10,000 years of amnesia, suffering, death, harvesting, rebirth cycles. What they want is they want to make sure that it is reestablished under the authority of the Aquilan control network when the time comes. Okay, so hence why these seals were placed in Washington, D.C. the way they were. I'm going to get to the bottom of this more. You know me, I'm a cosmic investigator. I am a detective, a spiritual detective. And so I'm going to, scope this out more and maybe do a deep dive with Felix at some point on it. We'll have to see. But essentially, yeah, it's pretty crazy, guys. But this is why I'm working so hard to put together the implant and seal removal certification course, is to get people educated on this stuff. Really, we're going to really go into the depth of this coursework. So this is not just a seal and implant removal certification course. You're going to really attain all of the knowledge of all of the major seal systems that are running in the earth according to major root races, according to major timeline trigger events, according to core world wounding. And so it's a good course to join. We are registering now up until August 31st for this class. It's a good time to register because there's payment options available. And I've also made the promise to other people as well to offer kind of special arrangements for people that really want to take it. Just message and let me know, and we'll see, what we can do to help you get signed up for this course. But we're going to be going into the depth of all the J seal removal information and knowledge, not only how to remove these seals, but, all of the history that goes with this and why they're here, where they're here in terms of the grids. We're going to be going extensively into the DAO seal removal system, and then also extensively into the feminine Lemurian regression implants, and then also the masculine as well. So what's plaguing our second dimensional field, where they're running, tumultuous code frequencies there through that, essentially to block our sexuality, our reproduction, sexual misery programs, all of this. So yeah, guys, this is going to be a really powerful course, going to be some of my best work. I can't wait to really start to put my slides together for this. I think I'm going to do something a little bit different than the normal ones you guys have seen. And yeah, we're going to get into it and just reveal all of this on a much deeper level and layer. So I hope to see you guys at that course. That's the next big thing for me. I also offer the seal removal sessions as well. So if you feel called to book a session. Other than that, this is my recap from Washington, D.C. I'll probably be talking about this for a little bit while longer, as it does seem to stay within my field for some time as more perceptions and more things come up to the surface that I get to see more. And yeah, it's a beautiful day today, and happy 4th of July to everyone reclaiming that spiritual declaration of independence, which is about God's sovereign freedom. Okay, this isn't about all the other hoopla and shenanigans that they be talking about. This is about our spiritual freedom, our sovereignty. And so I really hope that you guys felt inspired by the grid worker video. And I really hope that you consider joining us in the future when we do more. The more of us that come together and do this work, I think the more impactful, the more powerful we are, the more we make a difference. And there's been a lot coming up in DC right now, you guys. Just to give you an example of some of the movement, some of the power that I think we brought, some of the thunder and transformation that we brought. was that the White House just the other day was evacuated, literally. Um, they had a whole issue with a hydrochloride that was found on the grounds. They found cocaine, they found all kinds of stuff. It shut the whole White House down. So there's been a lot of little incidences coming up after we've left that I think are bringing more of a clearing, okay, bringing more of what's negative up to the surface. And, you know, that's what we do every time we do these missions. We bring more of the shadow up to the surface and allow the clearings to come through those grids, you guys, so we can hold a more pure and organic template for us all, essentially. So, yeah. Oh my goodness, that barbecue. I need someone to barbecue for me. I don't have a grill. And I'm so hungry today, but yeah, I'll figure it out. We got to get ourselves packed up for the beach today, get down to those fireworks and just, you know, enjoy our time today. I hope everyone is having a blessed day with their loved ones. I love you all so much. Namaste and take care.